Hey there, and welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to become sentence architects. We're diving into the actual blueprints for powerful writing. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll have all the tools you need to build sentences that really make an impact. You know that feeling, right? You write an email, a report, or even just a text message, and the response you get is confusing, or worse, you get no response at all. It's that classic frustration of feeling like your great ideas are just getting lost somewhere along the way. Well, here's the secret. The real power in your writing isn't always in what you're saying, but in how you're building the sentences that carry your ideas. So today, we're going to learn how to construct sentences that are strong, clear, and pretty much impossible to ignore. To become master builders, we have to start with our materials. So let's crack open the sentence's secret code and look at the absolute foundation of it all. This right here, this is the whole game, the clause. It's basically the DNA of every single sentence you've ever read or written. Every clause has got to have two things: a subject, that's who or what is doing something, and a verb, that's the action. That subject-verb combo is the key to everything that follows. Okay, so it's not quite as simple as just a clause. Think of them like Legos. There are two main types of bricks, and knowing how they're different is what lets you build a solid masterpiece instead of something that's just going to fall over. On one side, you've got the independent clause. This guy is a complete thought. It can stand all by itself as a full sentence. Joe drove the truck. Done. Perfect. But on the other side, you've got the dependent clause. Now, it has a subject and a verb, but it kind of leaves you hanging because jump a studies. See? It makes you ask, what happens? What's the result? It needs an independent clause to finish the thought. So, once you have these complete thoughts, these independent clauses, how do you start snapping them together to build bigger, more interesting ideas? This is where our building skills really start to shine. And you know what? It's probably a lot simpler than you think. The most common, most effective tool in your toolbox is just a simple comma followed by one of a few special little connector words. And to remember these awesome connectors, there's a super handy acronym, FANBOYS. That's for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Each one does a very specific job, and just adds something on, but shows a contrast, and so shows a result. Picking the right one is like picking the right tool for the job. Now, if you're feeling a little more advanced, you can grab a semicolon. This is perfect for connecting two ideas that are super closely related. Or, for a really formal, pro-level move, you can use a semicolon with a word like however or therefore. These are fantastic for adding some variety and sophistication to your writing. All right, let's head over to the repair shop, because now that we know how these pieces are supposed to work, we can easily spot and fix the common problems that make a piece of writing feel broken. First up, the big one, the comma splice. You see this everywhere. It's what happens when you try to glue two complete sentences together using only a comma. And here's the thing, a comma just isn't strong enough to do that heavy lifting. Just look at this example. The team was undefeated during the season. That's a complete thought. They lost in the first round. Also a complete thought. That poor little comma in the middle is just buckling under the pressure. That, my friends, is a classic comma splice. But fixing it is actually really easy. You've got three simple options. 1, add a fanboys word, like but, right after the comma. 2, just swap that weak comma for a strong semicolon. Or 3, you can change one of those complete thoughts into a dependent one. 3 easy fixes for a much stronger sentence. Next up is the run-on. Now, this isn't just a really long sentence. A run-on is literally 2 or more complete sentences that have just crashed into each other without any punctuation to separate them. It's a total grammatical pileup. I worked hard in the class is a whole idea. I earned a good grade is another whole idea. But here, they're just smashed together. The reader has to do the work to figure out where one thought ends and the next one begins. And just like a comma splice, it needs a proper connection. And finally, we have the sentence fragment. If a run-on is way too much information, a fragment is not nearly enough. It's an incomplete piece, usually a dependent clause, that's pretending to be a full sentence just because it has a period at the end. It's that one Lego brick that got left behind. See what I mean? Although Sam is an electronics technician, and although he's a technician, so what? What happened? The thought is totally incomplete. It's a cliffhanger that absolutely needs to be attached to a main independent clause to make any sense. Okay, we've cleaned up the workshop and fixed the common mistakes. Now it's time to go from simply being correct to being truly effective. This is about taking your sentences from just functional to, well, fantastic. Here's a little secret. The best writers aren't just great at avoiding errors. They're masters of being concise. They know how to say more with fewer words. And one of the best tricks for this is learning how to condense your clauses. Okay, take a look at this sentence. P.T. Barnum was a showman who was famous for his circuses. Is it grammatically correct? Yep, 100%. But could it be sharper? Could it have more punch? Absolutely. That little phrase who was is taking up space without adding new information. And boom. Look at that. Just by trimming out who was, the sentence is suddenly tighter, more direct, and it just sounds more professional. P.T. Barnum was a showman famous for his circuses. It flows better, it hits harder. That kind of tiny edit is what really elevates your writing. So there you have it, the basic building blocks, the right ways to connect them, the common mistakes to fix, and even a pro tip for real style. You now have the architect's blueprints for building clear, powerful, and memorable sentences. The only question left is, what are you going to build?